Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your patience, and thank you. Today, we discuss three key issues as usual. We'll deal with an update from South Africa regarding the remains of the late president, Zambia's sixth president, Dr. Edgar Chagwa Lungu. What is the status? There is a new burning issue of the young man Wimi, Francis Kapwepwe, Chilabombe-based TikTok artist who's fallen in trouble with the law several times and even served a jail sentence over hate speech. But revelations have emerged that he was abducted from Harare, Zimbabwe, by officers from the Zambia Police Service headquarters who ferried him into Lusaka. And there was a flurry of reports carried by, literally minute-by-minute reports by Kalemba, by Koswe, CIC, and other affiliated UPND media. He was captured around 1st of June, I think thereabout. Reports from Harare indicate that he was captured on 1st June and was transported to Lusaka the same day via Chirundu. And then on 9th June, we heard that Francis Kapwepwe, popularly known as Wimi, that he had died in police detention, that was detained at Lilai police station, and he had died. The police immediately issued a statement denying even the operation to pick Wimi from Harare. We'll discuss that matter extensively. We'll give it some minutes, and I've got a caller who will come and help us with some facts, someone who's been dealing with Wimi for some time. They are TikTok buddies, and they've engaged in, national discussions together for a very long time and became a confidant. She'll come and shed some light on it. Then we have the fundamental issue, the statistics that are being released by the Zambia Statistics Agency. They have a new board chair, Oliver, who was at the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa. I told you that I worked with him very closely because ambassadors and permanent representatives in Ethiopia, Addis Ababa, are permanent representative to the African Union and to the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa. Oliver Chinganya was one of the top directors. I think he was number 3 at UNECA, at ECA or UNECA, depending on how you call it. He's now board chair of the Zambia Statistics Agency. But the statistics coming from there on Human Development Index, economic statistics, economic growth, are highly suspicious. Zambia is going to elections next year. It's about to, it's made an application for a $1.5 billion, another bailout from IMF. IMF have told them, complete these matters regarding debt restructure, because they haven't finished the debt restructure. And your debt to GDP ratio is not good. So are these statistics being massaged to accommodate the new loans that Minister of Finance, Tumeko Msokotane, wishes to discuss? It's a bit mouthful, but let's start. The Minister of Information and Media had a meeting with, had an interview with SABC, and he disclosed on that interview, which many people are very disappointed, because the entire 10 minutes interview, Cornelius Mwetwa, who's our Minister of Information and Media, literally said nothing. But there's some few things he disclosed, like that the Attorney General has written to their lawyers in South Africa to get in touch with the lawyers for the family, for the Edgar Lungu family, and to see if they can do an out-of-court settlement agreement before the matters come up, and before the Attorney General files any matter. So there's a proposed solution that there should be an out-of-court settlement. You and I have discussed. The family is willing to put to rest President Edgar Lungu in Zambia. There's just been some of the conditions, and one key condition is that President Hakainde Hichilema stays away from the funeral. It's not that they don't want to bring the body. There are conditions and wishes of the late president and the wishes of the family. It doesn't matter your view about the wishes are the wishes. And there's no law regulating where you can bury the late president. They are just precedents and seculars from cabinet office, but there's no definitive law like it is in Tanzania or in the United States or anywhere else. So we hope that this matter can be resolved. But listen to Cornelius Mwetwa as I organize my thoughts.
A bitter standoff between the family of former Zambian President Edgar Lungu and President Hakainde Hichilema's government continues. The two sides are locked in a heated dispute over the late leader's burial arrangements. The High Court in Pretoria last week halted funeral plans after the Zambian government launched a legal bid to block the ceremony. Weeks after his death on June 5, Lungu's final resting place remains unresolved. Cornelius Mwetwa is the Minister of Information and Media in Zambia and joins us now via video link. Minister Mwetwa, thank you so much for making time for us. Good evening.
Good evening, Clement, and thank you for having me on the program.
So, since the court ruling when you successfully interdicted those funeral plans, have you, as the Zambian government, had any meetings with the former president's family to try and find some common ground?
Well, I would like to place on record here that at that time of that decision by the courts, the government for the Republic of Zambia has moved on in line with the desires of the people of Zambia, and also, I believe, the people of the region, particularly also the people of South Africa, as represented by the two ministers of South Africa, the minister in the office of the presidency and the foreign affairs minister, who expressed their desire that this matter be resolved expeditiously and amicably, taking advantage of this window of opportunity that has been created by this court action, whose return date is 4th of August 2025. The government of the Republic of Zambia, acting through the Attorney General, who is a government lawyer, and through their lawyers in South Africa, has commenced correspondence between the two parties by way of the two parties' lawyers beginning to exchange communication with a view to having this matter settled ex curia in a manner that is amicable and expeditious and in line with the wishes of the people of Zambia, the majority of them, and the desires of the government of the Republic of Zambia by President Hakainde Hichilema.
Yeah. What are you willing to compromise on as the government of Zambia, as you say that discussions will begin with various parties so that the matter can be resolved expeditiously in an amicable manner, but the family still to be standing on their position that if ever they would even agree for the former Zambian president to be buried in Zambia, they wouldn't want President Hichilema to preside over the funeral. Is that something you're willing to compromise on as the Zambian government, or is that a red line that you're not willing to cross?
Well, for now, we've opened a new chapter, a discourse surrounding this particular impasse. And we do believe that this whole transaction...
Thank you very much. We'll get back to the story of Cornelius Mwetwa and his update and his assertions that his disclosure of information that a discussion is underway through lawyers that should take place. We'll come and give our views. Now, there's a matter of Wimi. He's been living in Harare, Zimbabwe, and he's said to have been abducted by police officers from Zambia Police Service Headquarters. I think I've got some pictures here of CCTV where Wimi was last seen, and I hope to show you. Where are we concerned? If Wimi committed crimes of hate speech, get him for hate speech. No one has a right to take his life. But we have reports that on 9th June, after almost 9 days of being in detention, with the police at Lilai that Wimi either died in police custody. The same day, Ray Hamonga, police spokesperson, issued a statement and denied ever that there was an operation regarding Wimi. But we've been piecing information together. For example, there was a big bet that Wimi had gotten engaged to a young lady we've identified and had the privilege to speak to her just today. She's identified, her name is Lubuto Musonda. And there was an engagement that took place and that rings, and apparently a passport was issued for Wimi. This is a passport that was issued. I don't think a young lady has capacity to issue a passport, but a passport was issued for Wimi. I don't know if Wimi has no passport in Harare, but a passport was issued and the two were going to settle in Malaysia. And that was the link that someone went to pick Wimi to deliver this passport to him and the engagement ring. The young lady involved in this matter is this one. She lives in Kasama. We've identified her. We've identified her parents, her step-parents. She's a real person where she works. We've identified, we don't know if she's a victim or not, but so far the story appears like it could be a big, big trap. But she swears, as I spoke to her today, that she got engaged to Wimi. She's had a relationship for 1 year, and the issues of passport and rings for her, were just delivered to our uncles in Kasama. But the state becomes an interested party because Koswe began to track when Wimi was picked from. They are alleging that is Chirundu. The information we have that was picked from Harare by Police Service headquarters. And they began to report about this matter. So did Kalemba. Kalemba was reporting about this matter very consistently. And you see the story of Kalemba. Of course, we're talking about that passport, that there was a passport that Wimi was lured that a passport had been made for her by the girl. Can that young lady have capacity to issue a passport in the absence of the state corporation? This passport, its issuance, it follows a very strict protocol. Koswe confirms that the girl got him a passport. You cannot get a passport someone who's not around. But there is a passport which they lured Wimi that they will grant him. Now, on the program here, I've got someone who used to call herself as mother to Wimi. She'll remain anonymous, but she'll speak to us. My dear sister, please tell us what shall we call you? Anonymous? Wimi. Tell us your story about Wimi. What do you know?
Okay. I've known Wimi for quite some time. I knew Wimi when he was still in Chirabombwe. So fast forward, the last time I spoke to Wimi was on a Sunday, the week before he was abducted. That was on, I think, the 1st of June, if I'm not mistaken. He called me and he said, Ma'am, come to me na phone. So I told him, I've been so busy. Nishi ulifebuino. And he said, yeah, ndifebuino na chapo kumeba good news. What good news? Nishi aisa. And then he said, oh, naditwale nsalamu, natwatele nsalamu kuisat, naditwale nsalamu kuri lubuto. Nati ushole se kafe na nguli serious because vafya shinshabe ngasapoka insalamu kuri weni shwikala kubwendo. And then he said, we because kashana lubuto ali shupa, atindilanda sana na kashana pa my Facebook na pa my TikTok. So therefore I'm showing a commitment. So my question was, nibana ni abobe ni watu mini aba tuile insalamu ata we na lifa abashukombe bali twale insalamu na watu mine ndalama bali pila na 2,500, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Bali pila na 2,500 di by the twala ku Kasama pa hotel. So I was like, does that make sense to you? Ninchi mwapokelele pa otewa tawa balifa fumone keko klasi, that's why twapokelele pa otewa. I was like, why me for the landa? Tafile panga sense. Now, shofilo wabakiafu, shino ichalo, tiba mfio mwana kashi, okubushita trap. And then I'm going to talk to Wimi as a person. I've been talking to Wimi for a very long time, and it's just unfortunate that the whole world has believed that Wimi was being used by politicians, which is not the truth. Because Udiomwana, I started calling him my son because I used to counsel him. I used to talk to him. And most of the viewers who used to follow him will agree with me that towards the end, he had stopped insulting. Because I used to make time to talk to him and lecture him and also tell him about life. Tell him, Ukutukana takes over. That child was traumatized. We don't want to add traumatized. He's gone through a lot. And you know, when you are so traumatized, we bleed differently. I'll be honest with you, Ambassador, when the conversations that I've had with Wimi, apparently, he doesn't even know some of the leaders that he used to talk about. He doesn't. That child, if he committed any crime, try than torture, because he needs rehabilitation, he needs therapy, he needs counseling. The child is broken.
Now,
So
my
Wimi,
sister, we guide the talk. There are rumors he's literally disappeared from Harare. That was the last time he was seen. And since 1st June to date, his whereabouts are known. There are reports that he could have died. So what was your last conversation and follow-up conversation? Who is this young lady that he is said to have engaged? What is this story of the passport, rings, engagement? And from your knowledge, his last disappearance and when you last spoke to him, just give us some insights there.
Okay, the last conversation I had with him was about the same engagement. And he did mention to me that he had engaged a girl called Lubuto, who lives in Kasama. So apparently, Lubuto, Wimi's stepsister, Shansi, had also traveled to Kasama to go and be a witness for that engagement. So that is the conversation I had about him. So the time that I heard that he had disappeared, apparently I had the phone number for the so-called fiance. I called her to ask her what was going on. The girl literally refused, that she knew nothing about it. But after asking so many questions, there's a day I asked her to say, can you reveal your true identity? Where do you work? She herself told me she works for OP. And that is where I was like, okay, could it have been a trap or what? Otherwise, all this time, Wimi was just okay. Everything changed after the engagement. So about the passport, I'm not too sure about it. But when I asked the girl about the ring, she told me she remained with one ring. She's the one who went to buy the rings. She went with one. She remained with one ring, and one of the rings, which was meant for Wimi, the sister got it.
When I spoke to her, when I had the privilege to speak to her this evening, she tells me she works under a ministry, will not disclose, and the particular school she's identified will keep it quiet for now. But did she tell you that she works for the office of the president?
At first, she mentioned that she used to work for that same school at a particular school, at a special school. But the day that Wimi disappeared, somebody told me he had disappeared, and I kept calling her because I kept calling. I was like, "You're the only link that I know that can talk to Wimi, and you're the last person I believe spoke to Wimi, because she told me she spoke to Wimi on the fateful day that he was abducted around 1 p.m., 13 hours Zimbabwean time. And according to the rumors, Wimi was abducted around 3 p.m. So she's the person I kept calling, trying to get information from. And she said about she mentioned about the ring, but she never said whether she sent somebody to take the ring to to Wimi or anything like that.
To your knowledge, how did Wimi go missing from the information since you used to interact with him?
To my knowledge, because I talked to a few of his friends, I believe that Wimi was home the whole morning of that fateful day, and then he left. When he left the house, he disappeared around 3 p.m. and around 23 hours, the friends and the neighbors started panicking because Wimi never went back home late. So how he disappeared, I don't know. I'm just getting rumors that he was abducted.
Okay, he disappeared from where?
From where he lives. He used to live in Harare, Zimbabwe.
Okay, okay. That's a confirmation
Yes.
I want. And the role of this young lady, do you think she collaborated with the state, or what is she telling you?
Well, when you look at the way the events have unfolded, somehow it's also pointing at her, because it's the time that she came in his life in the picture that everything changed about Wimi. Because a person who's been in exile, a person who's been missing, or say why would he suddenly start thinking of getting married? How do you get married to somebody you've never even met? Because if he says he's known Wimi for 1 year, meaning they've never met in person. So to me, I feel like the girl knows something about it. She was just being used, or maybe she was paid to do that. But I feel that she's the link between the state and the disappearance of Wimi.
Do you speak to her?
Yes, I do.
Can you speak to her, please? Maybe she can come and tell us a story, because her fiance is missing, and her fiance has been missing since 1st June 2025.
I will definitely speak with her, and I believe if she's genuinely the fiancé, and if she's got nothing to do with this, she'll be able to come out and tell us her side of the story.
Yeah, because it's very clear we need to raise a lobby about this matter. You cannot have the state disappear people. That's a huge human rights, abuse. Not just an abuse. These are things that take presidents to the Hague. People don't realize how serious this matter is. It's not enough that we have extrajudicial killings, but we should never have people abducted by the state disappear literally out of this earth. What have they done with the body if he died? If he's alive, why aren't they bringing him to the people? Why are they denying that they are having him? These patterns have reached a level Zambia doesn't know, and it's very alarming.
Yes.
What would you say about Wimi before I let you go?
What I'll just say about Wimi, I know everybody has painted Wimi because he used to insult. But when you get to Wimi, when there's a Wimi and there's a Francis Kapwepwe. A Francis Kapwepwe is a very reasonable child, very respectful, and very intelligent child. That boy had two characters. He had the Wimi and the Francis Kapwepwe. So my appeal is whoever is holding on Francis Kapwepwe, can they release him? Or if he has any crime, can he be taken to court? And I pray that he's still alive and he's still in good shape, so that you also give him an opportunity to prove himself. The child needs help. The child needs counseling. The child needs rehabilitation. He's a broken child. That's what I can say about him.
Do you think he's alive? What's your feeling? What are you hearing?
Well, my intuitions feel is like he's no more.
What gives you that indication?
Whereby we know and we believe that Francis is missing and he was abducted. And when you trace the stories, you can tell that somebody took him and probably they've killed him. That's why they've silenced him. Because if he was merely arrested, they should have they should have issued a statement. So if the state has got nothing to do with this, and we've been crying for it. Why have they instituted some investigations to find out whether the allegations that he was abducted are true or not, so that the world should know? So I feel like something bad has happened to him.
Okay. My dear sister, thank you. I recognize you are at work. Please go back and work. I might need you to come and discuss this particular matter of why me is worrying, and we have to put the state on the spot. They need to answer what it is that is happening.
Thank you so much, Ambassador. Thank you for your time.
And thank you for your courage. And thank you for being a mother to that young man. We hope that you would have become better with people like you counseling him.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Where have you seen the person to bring the Salam project?
Wait, that's the question that needs an answer.
No, you need to respond, not to question us.
Look, how did the police know that he was going to collect a ring? Like somewhere.
Okay.
How did they know that information?
Question, hold on.
Priscilla, do you know where Wimi is? Since Ngataba Muikete, do you know where Wimi is?
Because I should put a ring.
Niku is so quite Wimi. Where is Wimi?
Answer the question.
Answer the question. You understand? Comprehend. So where is Wimi?
Prince.
You all and that comprehend Wimi. So where is Wimi? Since Nuevo fiance, where's your fiance?
No.
She can't even answer.
Charles, listen. Charles. When I got the message of ECL, I put on my status, I said, I hope it's not true. What did she do? She responded and said, don't worry, mommy. He's very safe where he is.
Where is she?
So I said, who? What are you talking about? And she didn't respond.
It's all about this woman.
I always told why me. Your girlfriend watch and what? Stop this.
So there is a parallel universe called TikTok. It's a very vibrant network. All of us should begin to migrate there other than Facebook. I recognize that Zambia is a Facebook a country, but TikTok is also growing and we ought to be there. So that group had called the fiancé to Wimi, and they put her to strict questioning, as you heard in the interaction. This is after Wimi disappeared, and they were asking hard questions. How come the engagement took place at a hotel? Why did you bring your so-called parents or uncles to Urban Hotel? There's a new hotel at Kasama Golf Club, Urban Hotel. You know, it's in Lusaka as well, and Ndola, and now in Kasama. It's an entity owned. ZCCMIH has invested, I think, about 35% in that entity. So that engagement for Wimi and this girl that he met on social media took place at Urban Hotel, and this family was asking the fiancé. So the fiancé is identified and privileged to speak to her today. She has denied any links with the state or the police. She said for her the engagement was true. And I asked about the passport. She had no knowledge of the passport, but she had knowledge of the rings that apparently Wimi bought and gave her. And the police that went to pick him up apparently told the story in Harare that they had brought his passport, apparently didn't have a passport, and that they had brought his rings from his engagement from Kasama. And that's how Wimi went there, and that was the last time he was seen. We have seen the footage. I was trying to upload it, the footage of Wimi, with the last police officers that picked him up. You can see some figures there, and that those are the suspected people that picked him up. And Koswe, Kalemba, CIC were reporting minute by minute, and then they just dropped out. And Ray Hamonga, police spokesperson, has denied any knowledge. The UPND are saying, why me used to insult the president, so why are you worried about his life? Life is sacred. Life is sacred. You don't have to be his sponsor or his compassion person to worry about any life, because Wimi was a critic of the president. So why would you take his life? Is that what we'll do to critics? So people that criticize, their lives must be taken away? Don't we have laws if someone has stepped out of bounds and are operating outside the law for those laws to deal with? Do you have to take their life? So that matter is important. Let's come to Mr. Musoko Twane. Mr. Musoko Twane is seeking $1.5 billion from the IMF. The IMF said they couldn't give it to him because, number one, he has not resolved the issue of debt restructure. Although there have been celebrations in our country, they even say Kwenyu is being picked, that debt restructure was done. The IMF says, no, you haven't completed the debt restructure. Parts of China, especially the private sector, the banks, and other creditors to Zambia, you have not resolved that debt. So they've told Musoko Twane, go and resolve that issue. Two, the debt to GDP ratio is quite high. Remember, by 2021, President Edgar said he was going to put a moratorium to debt. He also stated very clearly that he was not going to borrow any more new money and that he will restructure the debt. But what has happened? What has happened is that he has borrowed more. They've borrowed up to $4 billion foreign debt. They found the debt at $11.9 billion. It's sitting somewhere around $15.4 billion. The IMF says it's sitting at $21 billion. We know that the total public debt is sitting around $35 billion. The IMF says the foreign debt alone is $21 billion. I don't know if they were looking at loans that haven't been processed yet, but the point is Musoko Twane has borrowed more money and is seeking another $1.5 billion from the IMF. Then all of a sudden, Zambia Statistics Agency begins to produce these statistics. Number one, it says Zambia's economic growth in 2024 was 6.6% and 6.5%. Now, backtrack to 2024. We had the worst drought in 100 years. We had the worst load shedding, the worst power cuts in over 60 years. Industries, manufacturing sector were severely affected. Some, even giants like Zambia Breweries, reduced number of shifts because you can't produce profitably on diesel generators. And solar is also limited, especially for industrial equipment. Then for MSMEs, they suffered. Your barber shops, your saloons, welders, they suffered more because they rely on electricity and they were severely affected. These are small businesses, hand to mouth. And if you disrupt their business just for a short period, they literally go into bankruptcy. And then you have an economy where Musoko Twane has refused to pay the local suppliers and contractors. He owes them over $10 billion. So you already had a struggling economy at a tether, just at the tether of its end. But in those circumstances, they say we grew our economy by 6%. Do they know what 6% is? Do they? And remember, if you read the national budget, Musoko Twane himself said, in light of these conditions, we are projecting our economy to grow by 2.5%. We are revising it downwards from 5%. And he reported that in 2023, they had projected that the economy will grow by 4.7%, and it only grew just above, 2.1%. So he said for 2024-2025, we are revising our projections from 4.7% to 2.5%. The IMF were even damning when when they visited, the staff level meeting came to Lusaka, they even revised our economic growth prospects to 1.1%. Then all of a sudden last month we are told that actually under those circumstances the economy grew by 6%. Just the other day, yesterday, they released statistics regarding Human Development Index that the life expectancy has jumped from 51 years to 67 years. Now, that is very optimistic. That's very good if it were true. But look at the damn statistics. Number one, Zambia has up to 1.2 million people living with HIV and AIDS. That already marks down your life expectancy. The number of people living with TB, the number of people dying from malaria, infant mortality, and then economic statistics like the number of unemployed people. Almost your entire adulthood population is unemployed. Then you say people are living actually longer from 51 years to 67. Why are they bothering about these statistics? Why are they already projecting that our copper production will be at 1 million? It's very simple. He wants to borrow. He wants to borrow from the IMF. And the numbers are very bad. So I think there's an attempt to massage these economic and human development index numbers. But what does that do? What does that do to the credibility of our country? What does that do? So I'll be inviting you to join in the debate, and let's hear from you.
I am cultured different. I don't want people confronting me like this, because where I grew up, we fear nothing. When you confront me, you're creating a problem there. But come and talk to me.
A bitter standoff between the family of former Zambian President Edgar Lungu and President Hakainde Hichilema's government continues. The two sides are locked in a heated dispute over the late leader's burial arrangements. The High Court in Pretoria last week halted funeral plans after the Zambian government launched a legal bid to block the ceremony. Weeks after his death on June 5, Lungu's final resting place remains unresolved. Cornelius Moetwa is the Minister of Information and Media in Zambia and joins us now via video link. Minister Moetwa, thank you so much for making time for us. Good evening.
Good evening, Clement, and thank you for having me on the program.
So, since the court ruling, when you successfully interdicted those funeral plans, have you, as the Zambian government, had any meetings with the former president's family to try and find some common ground?
Well, I would like to place on record here that at that time of that decision by the courts, the government for the Republic of Zambia has moved on in line with the desires of the people of Zambia, and also, I believe, the people of the region, particularly also the people of South Africa, as represented by the two ministers of South Africa, the minister in the office of the presidency and the foreign affairs minister, who expressed their desire that this matter be resolved expeditiously and amicably, taking advantage of this window of opportunity that has been created by this court action, whose return date is 4th of August 2025. The government of the Republic of Zambia, acting through the Attorney General, who is a government lawyer, and through their lawyers in South Africa, has commenced correspondence between the two parties by way of the two parties' lawyers beginning to exchange communication with a view to having this matter settled ex curia in a manner that is amicable and expeditious and in line with the wishes of the people of Zambia, the majority of them, and the desires of the government of the Republic of Zambia by President Hakainde Hichilema.
What are you willing to compromise on as the government of Zambia, as you say that discussions will begin with various parties so that the matter can be resolved expeditiously in an amicable manner, but the family still to be standing on their position that if ever they would even agree for the former Zambian president to be buried in Zambia, they wouldn't want President Hichilema to preside over the funeral. Is that something you're willing to compromise on as the Zambian government, or is that a red line that you're not willing to cross?
Well, for now, we've opened a new chapter, a discourse surrounding this particular impasse. And we do believe that this whole transaction process has and will and is bound to assume a new complexion going forward, given the views of the citizens of Zambia, the views of the leadership, for Zambia, their desires that the former president for the Republic of Zambia be buried home in line with the precedents and tradition that we have set ourselves, like the 5 former presidents of Zambia who have passed on, have all been buried at the presidential burial site, which is an important place for us as citizens for Zambia, given its present and historical importance going forward as a symbol of national identity and unity going forward. So regarding the question of a particular demand, presently we hold the view that that will be subject of discussion, given that we as government now are pushing in the direction of alternative dispute resolution mechanism, and correspondences have already been exchanged as between the two parties, lawyers, signifying commencement of a new process, which it is hoped can bring this matter finality and closure before the court can return to its adjudication, something we believe is going to give more integrity and credibility that as a people, when confronted with a problem, we are capable of analyzing that problem in terms of prescribing solutions that should be as a result of a convergence of consensus as a people, and not just the court prescribing what they believe is right for us, notwithstanding that presently is also still in force.
Yeah, so what was the, because from what I've picked up, at least from my understanding from the family side, is that there was never truly enough support from government when the former president was sick, even when he had to be transported to South Africa for medical treatment. So they're surprised that suddenly the government of Zambia is willing to avail a private jet to then take the remains of the former president to be buried in Zambia. They've raised issues around his presidential benefits having been revoked as well. What's your explanation on that as the government of Zambia?
Well, I would like to place on record that the former president, Zambia's 6th president, Edgar, resigned from active politics on the 26th of August 2021 upon transition of power to the new administration of President Hakainde Hichilema. And from that date to the 28th of October 2023, he was a former president. And in terms of the former president's benefits, Act Chapter 15 of the laws of Zambia, at Section 4, there is a conferment of
Where have you seen the person to bring the Saram project? Wait,
That's the question that begs an answer.
No, you need to respond, not to question us.
Look, how did the police know that he was going to collect a ring? Like Alafumapopanga somewhere.
Okay. Keep bringing your questions in. Question, hold on. To respond. Priscilla. Do you know where Wimi is? Since Ngatabamuikete, do you know where Wimi is?
Because I should put a ring.
Niku so kwali Wimi, we need to have where is Wimi?
Answer the question.
Answer the question. You understand? Could you much comprehend? So where is Wimi?
Prince.
You all and that. Now mumona koko ba much comprehend Wimi. So where is Wimi? Since nuevo fiance, nuevo mkashi, where's your fiance?
No.
She can't even
Charles, listen. Charles.
Okay, thank you very much. This is what we are discussing today. So, my line is now open. Do you wish to discuss on the update regarding the late president? There is a development from government. They say they have instructed their lawyers in South Africa to get in touch with the family's lawyers so that they could begin negotiation of an out-of-court settlement matter, so that, in their view, the remains of the late president must be repatriated to Zambia. We are discussing the sad case of Francis Kapwepwe, a TikTok personality and figure who's fallen foul with the law in regards to what he issues and what he speaks. He apparently was in Harare. That's where he went, fleeing from police persecution, and he was abducted from there by officers said to be from the Zambia Police Service headquarters, and that's the last time he was seen on 1st June. On 9th June, we had information that Wimi had passed away owing to the injuries and tortures that he received over the days. There's been no news other than Ray Hamonga, police spokesperson, who came and distanced the police, claiming that they were not anywhere near the matter. Yet, their own newspapers, Koswe, CIC, and Kalemba. In fact, one person challenged Kalemba if their information on the arrest of Wimi was credible, and Kalemba said they don't write lies. They said what they wrote were the truth. But the police are trying to distance themselves. So is Wimi alive? Many people believe, especially with the police distancing themselves from an operation that seems to have gone wrong. So make your contribution, and then we are discussing the economic statistics of Stombeko Msokotwane. He will be presenting his last budget in September 2025. That will be their last budget before we go to elections next year, August. The last 4 budgets don't seem to have achieved anything, and there now seems to be from Zambia Statistics Agency. Remember, there was an issue where Dr. Beani accused Zambia Statistics Agency that they needed to be changed, that the information were not credible, that they suppress even figures of population from people from Southern Province. In his view, Southern Province has more people than it is predicted, and that places like Muchinga, Northern, and Luapula have no people, according to him, and the numbers that they attribute to are not credible. Then we saw huge changes. Mr. Sinyenga, credible statistician of many years, one of the most competent statistician, was removed as statistician general. A new person was hired, and we saw a new board chair in Oliver Chinyenga, another credible person who's worked at international level. You can't fault his CV. But the statistics coming from there are totally suspicious. They want to bolster the economy through statistics. Well, Tafibomba, we saw what they did to the kwacha to influence the price of fuel. They pumped in so much dollars that the kwacha appreciated in a short period from 28 kwacha to 22 kwacha. And you've seen the results in the fuel, but is that sustainable? Because the kwacha is rising already. As at today, it was at 20. As at today, it's already rising 24.4, I think. From just the other day, the volatility of the market exchange rate is worrying. So let's discuss what is your place of interest. The line is open. Please call now so that you're not calling when we're about to close. Call now. Because many of you come in the next hour when we're about to close, and that's when you begin to call frantically. And when we have closed, So please call now. Let's hear your views on those 3 matters that we want to hear from you. Ambassador, please help Zambians next year do a right thing. Can you help find a candidate the opposition can feature? We need to save Zambia. I'm a supporter of UPND and I have coordinated with the UPND. But my brother, we are suffering. Thank you very much. I'll not disclose his name. That we should help the opposition come up with a single candidate who should help resolve this crisis. So the line is open. Please join in. I'm told there are some issues around our other pages, but I am checking. Someone is trying to resolve that issue. Yeah, the UPND surprised me. The way they write, as if because Wimi was insulting, therefore he needs to be taken away. His life needs to be taken away by the police. Are we a democracy? Are we a Christian nation? So muntu ngala tukana nishukumwi papantu wale tukawa kateka. Ba UPND mulampapusha sana. Yeah. This one says the late president died in South Africa. Let him be buried in South Africa. Okay. The phone is beginning to buzz. People are complaining about low volume. I have not connected to go through the internal structure. I'll call my technician to see how they can help. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from, and please kindly speak louder.
Good evening. This is Essential Banda.
Honorable Essential Banda. How are you, sir?
I'm good, and how are you?
Very well, thank you.
Okay, I want to comment on the issue of Wimi.
Okay, sir. Make your contribution.
Yes, let me place it on record that I never supported the behavior of Wimi, not in anywhere. Coming from a background that as Zambia, we're supposed to have respect for the elderly, not at any time. However, as the matter stands, it's no longer about Wimi. It's about justice. Rightly so, because in any case, if people were aggrieved about Wimi, there are proper ways, proper channels. There's a legal process in how matters ought to be adjudicated. And actually, the board is supposed to, on the receiving end of the law, procedure followed, and handled as such. But given what's going on right now, I'm very worried, not about Wimi, but this, we must look at the bigger picture. If it's true, Wimi is dead, then as Zambians, we have got a reason to get worried. Why? Because Wimi, all he did were insults. He did not give any threat to the powers that be in holding on to power. Now, if that's the case, how about people who actually seemingly are viewed as a threat to those who are holding on to power? What will happen? And these are the questions we need to be asking ourselves. One thing about democracy, one of the tenets of democracy is criticism. In any functioning democracy, criticism is part and parcel of governance. And the sad part is that we have a community which has been polarized, that any criticism and is viewed as enmity by the opposite sides. If that's the case, what is how safe are those who provide criticism to the government if mere insults from this boy and had no capacity to unseat this government? If it's true he has been killed, then we have a problem as a country. We cannot fight lawlessness with lawlessness. If this is the case, the Zambia is disintegrating into chaos. Rightly so, because we having an election in 2026. And if these issues are not taken serious, people are saying, we don't care, it's why me and all that. But the bottom line is, it's not about why me, it's about justice. And for me is that if it's true that he has been killed at the hands of the police, if it's true, those who have done that, they must seemingly to get away with it right now. But time will catch up with them. They must be held accountable for the atrocities. So for me, this is a red flag for all stakeholders, both government actors and non-government actors, to ensure that there is a deterrent by the police to act in a manner which impedes on the rights of people. No one has got the right to take anyone's life, regardless of what they have done. Yes, I know and I admit the insults, why me, were so much, but they had no right to take his life if they did so. If they've done so, for now, seemingly they think to be in power. But you see, truth has got the way of living its trace. And those accountable, those who are responsible for these atrocious acts will be held accountable. I think that's what I wanted to comment. I can't comment on the economy and all that, what's happening, the statistics. For me, it's a joke.
Honorable Sencho Banda, let me take advantage. What has been your reaction when you've been seeing these all of a sudden good statistics, and especially parroted by a credible entity like Bloomberg, that Zambia is on its march to development, that Zambia has in 2024 recorded 6.5% economic growth and is expected to do another over 6% growth in 2025. What has been your reaction?
Firstly, if you look at the year in question, which we're talking about, it's the year which Zambia was hit hardly. I mean, was hit very hard by the drought. And you know very well that energy is at the core of driving the economy. In fact, it's said energy has got direct relationship with economic growth and human development index. That being the case, in the last 4 years, including the 2024, if you look at the UPND policy as it relates to energy in terms of electricity as well as petroleum, in the last 4 years, the petroleum, diesel, and so on and so forth, has been very high. We've had issue of load shedding, and that has had a huge impact in the capacity of the country to be productive. Most companies have been affected. In fact, to that effect, IMF had projected that actually the crop should have been 1.3, if I'm not mistaken, thereabout.
Yeah.
In fact, the Minister of Finance even projected that actually the growth will actually will go downwards, will reduce. And then suddenly you come out and say, actually, the year in question did better. What is the motive? One thing is that, like I've said, you cannot manage a country with propaganda. Propaganda, because the cooking of statistics is propaganda. Because reality will always expose you. After you cook that those statistics and you acquire the debt, so what next? Reality will always expose you. So for me is that we need to be forthwith in how we manage the affairs of the country. The statistics we produce are not just for Zambia. They are for many stakeholders. There are those who want to come and invest in Zambia. There are those who want to interact with Zambia in many ways, but they would want to look at the statistics of Zambia. For example, already, we're talking about the life expectancy has gone up. Others who look at that, and so since Zambia is getting better in terms of life expectancy, which means the intervention in the health sector, they are doing it very well. Meaning that actually, in terms of food security, they are doing very well. Which means actually even the life standards are getting better, because these are the various factors which impact on life expectancy. But if they leave the reality is different, you know. So for me, is that we need to be candid. We need to be, you know, even as we manage public affairs, we cannot sit down and cook statistics for one objective to acquire the procure a loan and forgetting the bigger picture. So for me, that's my comment regarding that matter.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, Honorable Sencho Banda, former MP for, I think, Kasenengwa. Make your contribution. The phone lines are open. Please call now so that you do not have to call when we are about to close, like most of you like doing. We're discussing 3 issues. We've given an update regarding the late President Edgar Chagwa Lungu. Government is reaching out to an out-of-court settlement. We're discussing the disappearance of Wimi. The indications are very, very bad. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from. Yes, and kindly speak louder.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, Waimano Mamba Mulishani.
Yole salet sunga shana imwe.
Nawe na yefere salet sunga.
Emkwai. Yola nden pon diashin mwebani amashina and liashin shmo.
Ivowa mutale Johnny.
Wa mutale Johnny. Yola nden po yama.
Imano Mamba ine kweshe nyonde ipushani nshali lako panono. Badi ilana nika neba isu ile kutisamba ila wale punda ati kweni.
Kwenyu.
Ati kweni. Namba ndefo anjipushe ni nshali lako Waimano Mamba. Pushe ila wa isu ile ya maraiti. Kudi ya bili kuchisamba na ngukudife imwele ya shiri ya chitaronchi barungu.
Okay.
Ekwesheni nkwete yonshalire. Kozile na ishiri ya tuwarungu. Ewa shiri wa chitaronchi bamba no kukula. Ya lile na mkupa kuma final touches. Adeni PF government ya fumapo paisa ba UPN. So shishi venga kulimbi na bene bambi liyo kupanga. Na ngunili ya ini.
Mkwai. Okay. Yeah, no, I'll answer you. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, call. Let's get as many calls as possible so that we can then answer you. The project in Samba has raised a lot of issues. Is it an old project? Is it a new project? It is... sorry. Let me just go on a brief break in case the person is calling.
Not shut media houses. The truth is that old habits die hard. There are some members of our society that still have that lingering, understanding that they can walk into a radio station and intimidate journalists. The law will catch up with them. The law will catch up them, and slowly this thing will die out, because it's not an event. It's a process. It's teaching people how to behave, because they behaved like that for 10 years. They became normal. So I just want to say to you, this government understands the importance of having the media, a serious professional media, genuine media.
Thank you very much. I am privileged. I think if the number I suspect is a real number, but let's ask. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
My name is Reverend Edith Mutale, and I'm calling from Lusaka, Zambia.
Mayo mulishani iyo nachimona njele ushevo wa ambassador. Mkwai Mayo, no, good to hear from you, Mayo. I'm live on this program. I don't know what you'd like to contribute. I'm discussing 3 topics. Ididi ashdiawa former President wa Edgar Lungu, nefifia mulumendo wa imi, nefifia ma economic statistics. Nshishiwe subject mwala salapo.
Mkwai na shipikisha ukufuma hapo ba President wesu ba number 6 President ba fuile pa 5 June ukufika nelelo. nashipikisha sana nomba omutima lero watira hawe kanandepo
Emkwai.
mushe kwena nga kuko nkafye ine nalifuirwa bawiso bafuire 47 years ago na pano ndi nchilimberosha nombanga chakuti nalifuirwa naliumfwa nobukali bwamfwa omwaome ngafwa. So I can stand in the gap yaba Esther Lungu. No kumonecho bale pitamu. She must be traumatized. Imagine this is the last day and you are saying, okay, now we are going to have a closure. So that when ngamwashika mwaposero bamuchirindi chilafuirisha kupola. Nombali ya muleti la mwalaya mukupola. Ero nomba batila yo tatulefaya mupole. Bamutwala kukoti. Can you imagine how traumatic that thing was? You are in the church waiting for a service to start so that you can come to the closure of this thing. And they tell you, stop it. You go to court. Really? What type of fwebantu bamusango shanya benga chitecha musango evyo. Inganga waliniwe bakuchitira omukashu musango fidya kuti wamfa shani. Ala infwa yali kalipa. Infwa ila kalifya. Ero mwali umfane ekipingo ffe kyatweba okuta infwa emperekesha ya buntu nso buno tulimu. Kyali wamolesa nga munganda yamali okutira munganda yamalira. Nombanga kyakutira walafwayo kupaka saba biyo abaleelosha. Awe nena chimfe shamano kwena nali shipikisha shonse shishikwire mulanda ntila fekande umfwa. Lelo mutima wakana nati ba estefe bale umfwa efe na ine na umfuire. Aba nefe bale umfwa naba nabandi na inefe ba umfuire. Nomba munjebe ilio mwachitefyo mwachina kuti natole ya kukoti mwatwala na abantu abo kukoti. Kabiri mwabwele chinfutanuma amutiyo natwefumye omulando. Seriously, how can we behave like that? That is very inhuman. Ine nimpa pechine chine pantu chichintu mshatala nchimona poku chitika muri chino chalo. Na ngubale elanda atiyo basata balifuirire kunse ya chalo chachine. He was in power and things were straight. Takwali wabapatire. Nombanga mwati mumone balungu mo bapitire kwera nangu tapako ososwa kwa landile bayumba. Mumone fye bale bachita. Abo baga hakainde. He never ever, not even one day, acknowledged that Lungu was the president of this country. So what has changed? Ukutemwa kwa fuma pi, ukuakutia mutile yo, inendefu afenke se shika, umuntu tukamushikile kono. Abo bana Zambia abo ba mulilo kabeshana, abo ba mpapusha sana. Mulilo kabeshta, lena Zambia nshaba ishile kuli iwe no kuisa kwebo kutila ifo tulefu aicha Lungu tubalete kuno kurusaka, eko tuise tubabi. Kenani wa ishile kwa mwina Zambia nshi, ndefu abanje yoyo mwina Zambia wa ileko. Other than themselves, ilo bamono kutila. Basebana pali chichintu bachite. Chalo chonse chali bamuenamu. Ifyafilanda bakaponya china bakumuenamu. Na wabene bali bamuenamu. Tachiwe mefena ngupa no yo. Ichimwa chitakulupwa lwa Lungu na mulufianya. Eli okubulo mnenu mwamuteka tale yamu kuti alali atupushe. Awe chena tachata la chimoneka. Echo batata bamwamba.
Emkwai.
Mwana wandi. Tulelo leshe chintu koko chile tutwala. We will see where we are going because this thing has never happened. Never. Nangwile bafuire mumone muleti la barupia Banda. Bali nani wa bafatile barupia Banda. Bantu bose bali bashikile fe wino. Icha moneka pali ba hakainde na ba Lungu. Ulupato lwali moneka, everybody knows that ba hakainde tabamu tebeno munabo Lungu yo. Ili alibu president bale musonsomba. Fibushe munge bechacha chitike kumongu ba mwamba welele ni kunu mamuye kumongu. Chidaba chitile ingani mufialo fimbi inga chachitike shani. Nishi tukitila mumba likulando kuchachile chintu tachawe mencho ba hakainde ba chitile. Momba muletila yo bali nkakile. Ile baku kakile mula ndushi wa chitile. I'm very disappointed in kwena na chinkalipa lero chankalipa na mfa kwa chichakalipa na mfa bufyashi bwakalipa uko muno munandi Esther ale chula filiana abana balelila ala nichife bwati atobwa kuti latafali apa kuti wayamu ikati akokukuboko wamwe wati we chine lilira pa chifuba chandi alilira ko muna pa chifuba chandi. It's
Mayo,
very painful.
Yeah. Let me take advantage. You are a renowned leader in our country. You've been part of the church. You have a voice of the church. You served as ambassador to Sweden, and currently you're one of our seniors in our country. What do you think should be done? Pari Chichilo Chagwa Edgar Lungu.
Moneni ichikalamba seinecho namona pwechinga chitika. Vakainde should step back. Once he steps back, everything will go well. No, but icho vale pati kishishafe kuti akanofena abapo ni chinshi. Nichinshi inenga iwenga wanje bati mayo shirefa mukese nangu nikubwinga bwa mwana wandi mwikesako. Nishi mfuyo kuipatikisha kuti ndiseko we mwine nishinawo kwata ama reasons ayo shirefa kuti la inendise kuli buli obwinga bwa kwa mwana. Nomba ichapalange ekiriro omuntu alanda ti uyu munshirefa akeseko ku kiriro kyandi kuti mwapatikisha shani. Nga kyakutira fye bakayinde bakita step back. Once he does that, I'm sure bali abantu imitima ikabawira. Moneni pali uli obushiku balina okuti bese ukufuma ku South Africa okuisa kuno. Nali pana panganda pamwandi umwaiche wandi alishile eshile aletutuma. Amwikushana ati iwe chinshi uletutumina ati mama mumusebo nacha mukufa gasi yakwipikira isangire muri fima armored cars. Nomba na unform wenso. Armored cars on this day at yes. Nomba munjebe ingacha kutubuli obushiku bayishire muno abantu babaleshe okuyamukumona okulolesha okuchita ukwemini na mumusebo okuti bamwe president wabo nga fishti achitike bushenga kwali mutende.
Yeah.
Ifefintu mulelanda tata tapali na problem ni bahakainde baselefe bati lawe ine na selapo
Umunandi talem
mwana wandi fila putuka bafelefe baselapo bayoku ero nombali ya basela babika ponangu abo banamba tu wabo nangu ni ba mwimbu na bakwata fe abantu kwabenge about bayabe emini nako mushaka no febe nembo bakayeko. Elio na babe none kamili nangu lyali ne bali batuka ba Edgar Lungu twale umfwa. He never raised the voice. Bali ingirenga kateka baye abantu babati mwe. Uyu muntu muletuka mufyashi. Uyu muntu muletuka ni former president. Kuti mwasumi shashani fya musango efyo. He never uttered a word. He never ever said anything kubakalipira bali abantu. He should have done that as the leader. He would have said no. These are insults which you cannot hail at a former president. But we never
Mayo epo chivipireko nelidi nebafa bakateka abantu abapalamine kuri ba akainde chile manga mwamonenselesha bapa social media against the former president no mobalele muri amwini and the family. The president hasn't spoken to stop them.
Exactly. So how are you going to see this thing run smoothly when these things are happening and then you are quiet? Because men anga balibika batira se kwene fimule ekitaimo bakoswe ba watchdog na banina banyakole keni ififta kiwe mena ngupana ono kutuma tukashani umuntu na muchitumbi mwamutukira komo awe ifite efe twala ikala muri kino kyalo iyo. Munelanda pali Wimi wini nangu inenga fyafya kiranda bali ba essential banda na ine shaletemwa inseri aletukana naliona kesho uyu mwana ni mwana bani ishinsere shonse atukana shakwi lero nga afwa inenga ne mufyashi ifure na kwate nkumbu ishakutia nombo uyu mwana afwa shani. How can we say okay it's okay kafwe fye
Pantwale tukabakateka
awe eno infumu yonse ilatukwa
itukwa kumbali emkwa
infumu yonse itukwa kumbali tabere mutuka palya iyo itukwa kumbali lero baleza ki yo watukire mfumu muleteni kunoleke tumwipai takwa becha musango efyo. It's very unfortunate that we can see this Zambia iyo tule munelelo. These things that are happening today are just unprecedented. We've never been in a country like that. We've never been. There's never been a country where hatred has shown its ugly head. We can see it. No banga mulei bepa mwebe ni ati katupatu kenenishi mulei bepa fi. We are now a divided nation. Really. We are a divided nation because of the things that are happening, and it's because of you, the leaders, who are supposed to control these things, and you are failing to do that.
Yo Mayo, Natasha Sana, thank you for the guidance. Hello Mayo, ini program yenu fine mwaimia issue ilienu and mwa langirila kwechalo. Thank you for the guidance that you've provided. Thank you very much. That was Mama Reverend Edith Mtale. She was Zambia's ambassador to Sweden. She's a senior leader. She was, under the CCZ, and she also used to pastor a church. She's very, very big in our country. But these are seniors. For the young people, may not even know who they are. And thank you for that guidance, Mayo. Thank you so much for that guidance you've provided. And thank you for the words of encouragement to the widow, Mama Esther Lungu. Someone says, Ambassador, I saw a verse that you should not bother the widows. Read it. So let me look for that verse.
Hello?
Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Yole Sale Tupala. Please introduce yourself, tell us where you are calling us from, and make your contributions.
My name is Mr. Mwaba. I'm calling from Manchester.
Okay, Mr. Mwaba from Manchester. Make your contributions, my brother.
Yeah, thank you so much for giving us this opportunity to talk to you. First and foremost, first part of my statistics.
Yeah.
If you think of these statistics being inflated, you have to wait until when you get closer to the elections. These guys, when you get in power through propaganda, and when you get in power again, you start manipulating stuff, and you still think like in opposition. It's sort of working. So all the statistics are economics. For the country to move forward, it's impossible to get those figures if the current load shedding situation is the same. So, economy has grown by 6%. You ask people, can you see any difference? No. The people are becoming poorer, and it's an insult to the Zambian for you to be saying that the economy has grown by 6%. And then on the issue of Wimi, that man, if he claims to be a church elder, we come to the same church. So if an elder, why don't we come home and sit down? You tell me where I've gone wrong, my son. We make peace. That's what real elders do. And you know what would have happened? Instead of showing some because everyone would have said that, what's the point? Look what the president has done. But what is happening here is, like he's enjoying these politics of division. What he's doing exactly is copying exactly what Donald Trump does, sticking to his base. When his base do anything, he never attacks them. He sticks with them. But then one thing over there is he's dividing the country. He's dividing the country. And we all just have to be honest. And the only thing we need to do is to get rid of this man. 2026, it's him and the people of Zambia uniting as one. That's the only way we get our country back. Because what's happening in Zambia, where on the issue of like what has happened with Wimi is it can happen to anyone.
Yeah.
Tomorrow it might be someone else. And Kwakula Wefetsi, about a million of us disappear. Like your friend, is that the country that we want? No. So I think every Zambian, we're seeing exactly all these issues, what they're doing, coming up with fake AI information on Facebook, YouTube, and stuff. And Zambians should not fall for it. The moment we see it, we bring it down and say this is fake news.
Yeah.
Because we need to do politics. Michael Santa said, under 5 politicians, and you could see it in plain view. So I think all we have to do is we have to be united, stand together and bring our country to the place where it needs to be. You know, because if you manage this, and you know the death of ECL, if they think that makes them stronger, it's actually waking up even people that were sleeping. People that were not talking like me, now we have to talk because we've seen where our country is. And that's why when he's there talking at, oh, TikTok, people making noise, people are not sleeping, we know the message is getting to him. You know, and he's even going to make us even more louder. The numbers are just going to keep going up and up. So please, Dara, do not give up. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep giving the platform to people to talk, and we will get our country to a better place. That's the only thing I wanted to contribute. Thank you so much.
My dear brother, thank you very much. Thank you very much. You know, it's encouraging when you hear Zambians who say, I actually never phone radio stations or TV stations or online platform like this, but I think I should say this. That's very encouraging. The more Zambians speak, especially people in the diaspora, you have a duty to speak because our people in the country are more afraid because of the new cyber laws that are threatened every day. Someone asked me to read a verse that relates to when you mistreat widows. It's Exodus 22, verse 22 to 24. Woe unto the persecutor of the widow and the fatherless child. You shall not afflict or mistreat any widow or fatherless child. If you afflict them in any way, and then they cry unto me, I will surely hear their cry, and my wrath shall wax hot, and I will kill you with the sword, and your wives shall be widows, and your children shall be fatherless. My God, this is a very powerful verse. Exodus 22, verse 22-24. So the Lord takes it upon himself. In the New Testament, there's a verse where the Lord says he'll be a father to the fatherless and he'll comfort the widow. He literally takes over the issues of the widow and the fatherless, orphans, himself, not anybody else. And Exodus says, you shall not afflict or mistreat any widow or fatherless child. If thou afflict them in any way, and they cry at all unto me, I will surely hear their cry, and my wrath shall wax hot, and I will kill you with the sword, and your wives shall be widows, and your children fatherless. You know who should appeal to the president? It must be even the first lady and the children, because the wrath of the Lord as promised in Exodus 22 is terrible. It's terrible. The Lord takes upon this matter himself if you mistreat or in any way bring wrath on the widow. Mwa palamine kona wakateka mwapela kwa ivesi. Niba eoda. Limbitaba imonapo na inelo na imonapo. I know the other one in the New Testament that says the Lord says is is a husband to the widow and is a father to the fatherless. I've seen that. But this strong one in Exodus that promises to strike whoever does that to the widow. Oh my God. No mubidi waenda. You don't want that to happen to anyone. So if you are participating in any scheme to harass Mrs. Lungu, if you are participating in any scheme to harass the former First Lady, who's a widow and her children, you are mocking her, you are insulting her, just bring the body. If you are participating in any way, distance yourself. This verse, my God, is very strong. Honorable Kabesha, the Attorney General, just lost his wife, I think 2 years ago. We all mourned with him. So he must understand some of this. We don't want anything happening to him. But that verse is very, very strong. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening, Ambassador Mwamba.
Good evening.
How are you
I'm very well, thank you, my brother. How are you?
I'm well. I'm just listening to you saying Exodus 22. There's a book my father gave me a long time ago.
Yeah.
It says nigga what? It says Exodus verse what? You know?
Yeah.
Now this is exactly the same thing. Exodus verse what? What are we talking? Is this person going to? I don't think this person really follows or would really you would get to him in terms of the Bible or any Christianity kind of setting. I don't think this person will be able to understand to that. And I don't think this person can listen to anyone. We all know that this person can't listen to anyone. But anyway, back to the main points of what you were talking about the 6% growth.
Yeah.
On the 6% growth, if we look at the 6% growth, how is Zambia going to grow to 6%? What are we looking at? What are the factors that contribute to the growth of an economy? One, we are looking at production in the country. Has Zambia got any production going on? Is there any productivity in Zambia? There is none. What's causing that? We don't have electricity. That's number one. Number two, what other factors are we looking at for an economy to grow? There's now what you call a knowledge-based economy. Economies grow via knowledge.
Yeah.
So you may have all these resources that you have as a country, but you certainly won't go anywhere. It's like giving a poor person funding. You give them their resources and you find them back to zero. They are broke, no money, and they are starving. This is how we are as a country. The first thing that we have to look at in a country is how the knowledge flows. At the moment, the way Zambia is, I don't really see us going anywhere. There's nothing interconnecting because you need to have sectoral interconnection where each sector speaks to each other. You see, so you're building up knowledge bases. That is how economies work.
Yeah, yeah.
So that in a way, when you are building up knowledge bases across sectors, you're building the innovation base. So with that innovation base, each one is kind of like prodding to each other, to each sectors. You know, there could be something lacking in other sectors, but because you have an interwoven economy, those other sectors that are lacking are being prodded by other sectors and put to task to move on.
Yeah.
Zambia is light years away from that. And if any president is going to go anywhere with Zambia, one thing that I look at myself is...
Do you think, before I let you go, do you think Zambia posted, my brother,
on the knowledge-based economy?
My brother,
when they are not,
my brother,
we're not going anywhere.
Hello, my brother, just a minute.
Hakainde is a child on this. There's nowhere, there's nothing there. He's wasting our time. He's got he'll bring up one aspect there, another aspect there. Hakainde is good at himself, developing his own family and creating his own wealth. Yeah, he can do that. We need him as one of the individuals in the economy, not as the leader, as the president. He's not taking us anywhere. So, to come down to the World Bank 6% economic growth, we have what we call economic hitmen, and Zambia has been hit before. These people hit world economies. They hit countries. There's an author, a person called John Perkins, an American individual who wrote a book called Confessions of the Economic Hitman.
Yeah.
This individual, it dawned on him that what he was doing to economies of the world, he brought in a lot of suffering. And he had to write a book about it to let people know. But in situations like ourselves, Zambia, so it's not many people who like reading or trying to get the knowledge.
Yeah.
Will just like arguing on the basis of lack of knowledge. And this is where we have a problem. So these people are telling us the economy is going to grow to 6%. There is a reason why they are telling us the economy is going to grow to 6%. We've been here before. You look at how we lost everything in Zambia. We had everything. We used to manufacture bicycles. We used to do Land Rovers. We used to do Fiats. We used to do radios. We used to do tires. Everything. You know, if these kids who are 20 or 15, if they had to go back in time at that time when we used to do such things, they would stand up and really fight for what we can do as a people, because we've done this before. If you tell children, or 25, 30, even 30-year-olds, you tell them this is what we can do, they would laugh at you. But it's not manufacture anything.
No, thank you very much, my brother.
Manufacture anything, but we have been there before, and we have done that before. We've done bullets, we've done copper wires, So this is the knowledge that these people, these kids, will have to be taught. So coming back to the 6% growth, with which electricity are we going to grow the economy? And if you look at what Hakainde is doing right now, if you had to ask him, the project that you have, for projects, you have the beginning, the middle, and the end. Find out, okay, you are saying 6% by 2026. You give us the steps on how we're going to do that, how you're going to build the power that will supply the necessary demands of our factories, and which factories are going to come in. Which sector is talking to which sector? How are they building up their resilience? How are they building up the finance, the marketing, the technical expertise? How are they related? Where is the knowledge base? Because each sector will need to have knowledge bases. How are we building these knowledge bases to build this economy?
My brother, let me take some other calls. Thank you very much. And thank you for the lecture. Thank you. Oh, wonderful, wonderful. I would have allowed him to continue to speak, but the calls are so many. Let's hear from others. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening. Thank you. Good evening. Thank you. Just straight to the point. I just wanted to respond to that caller who's been to Zambia. Even if you are not in Zambia, don't speak ill about Zambia. Zambia is not a jungle. No. There are some things that are happening. So you can't just write off Zambia. I mean,
I haven't had the caller. I haven't had the caller who's belittling Zambia. Who do you think was belittling Zambia?
The one that is from talking just now.
Oh.
Took a bit of time to.
No, I think he's not belittling Zambia. He's just saying there is no evidence to demonstrate 6% growth.
Evidence is there. Talk of mining. What drives the economy of Zambia is mining and agriculture. So if you have positive results in mining and agriculture, but straightforward. It's just a straightforward translation.
Let me advise. Hello, my brother. Let me advise. Say your opinion. Don't attack another opinion. He has put his opinion. Tell us, in your view, the question is there. Are the statistics credible? They are saying our economy grew by 6% in 2024. And there's another projection that will grow by 6%. Yesterday, they released statistics, human development statistics, that, for example, the life expectancy has jumped from 51 years to 67 years. And there are other statistics that have just been released recently showing this buoyancy of a good economy. Are they credible? So speak to that.
Hello?
Yes, you are on. Speak to that. Hello. Oh. I was just guiding. I hope you can call back. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Michael Zephania Piri calling from Lusaka.
Michael, quickly to the point.
Yes, to the point is that what is happening, like what they have said, that the statistics, our economy is going to grow by 6%. That is Ufi. Because from when he was in opposition, we were told that if I'm sworn in by 10 hours, by 14 hours, things will change. Up to now, this is 4 years. Only those who are praising them, they are going to believe. But us, who knows how the economy grows, you cannot grow an economy when the country is experiencing load shedding. Now we are at 5 hours. It's just 5 hours on paper, but some areas they stay maybe 2 hours, just 2 hours, 3 hours, Malait Naya until the other day. And Zesco keeps on sending messages that no, sorry for inconvenience and so forth. When our friends, the neighboring countries, are enjoying, the president is on record to say that everything is going to be better when people voted for him. Now, when you look at, they have increased in everything what PF did. Where PF left it, it has now become double. Everything, it was 200%. And today, they have just reduced just a bit of fuel. Fuel is now, petrol is at 25. They are saying we have achieved. When fuel was at 17 kwacha, so when you minus that, there's 211 kwacha which they need to deal with. So
Okay, mister.
So as I conclude, I am appealing to all Zambians to register and vote him out in 2026. That's the only way Zambia is going to liberate itself. Thank you.
Thank you very much. There's a dear brother of ours who I think deserves to be heard, and I hope that he can come on. Let me just call him myself. My brother, I took the option of calling you back. I don't want to stifle your view. I was merely guiding. I was saying it's not good to attack the other callers. Even Mukosa, who people don't like, I allow him to speak. Now, say your view. In your view, are the statistics credible? Speak to that.
I would say yes. No, the point I wanted to drive at with him is like coming out to say nothing is happening. I mean, you can't make that statement. Of course, I mean, even if you are very far from Zambia, we are able to see things happening. If we look at the investments that has been done in mining, that can show us to say there's something happening, because the Zambia's economy is based on copper production. So the more we produce copper, the more our economy gets better. If we have activities in the copper belt in the northwestern province, we'll see. If we have activities where, like now, we're at Banda Harvest, that will speak to something. Of course, we have. I'm not saying we don't have challenges in Zambia. Challenges are there, and our challenges will not be sorted out overnight. But we are making steps towards something that we are able to see. When we say people getting employed, that's something that will speak to the growth of the economy. Because if people are getting employed, yes, the economy is growing. Because there is no way people can be employed when there is no economy growing. So there are those few things that we can see. Of course, it's not like who would want to, but there are some positive things happening.
Okay, I think I get your point. Yes. But are the statistics credible that you have seen recently?
Looking at the question maybe we can ask is what data are they using, or what formula are they using to come up with those figures? Maybe that's a question we should ask. But if they are using something, like if you talk about World Bank is credible, if they tell you something, it's something that you can trust. So maybe the question would be, what are they using? If maybe they show you what they are looking at.
The other caller, even now related to the credibility of those institutions, World Bank and IMF, how in many times they've acted as hitmen, and he referred to a famous book that you think shouldn't be taken into account.
But you, as an ambassador, you've interacted at that level. What do you think yourself?
Oh, my views are very clear. These statistics have been massaged. There's no truth that we scored 6% economic growth last year. Similar even this year.
So, of course, we've grown, but which one? Maybe it's so exaggerated. Maybe it could be something like 3% or what? What do you think? Like 3% maybe?
I think their initial estimate, where they took into account the level of investment, they took into account the catastrophe of drought, and then, the after effects of, they put it at 2.5%, and World Bank put it at 1.2%. I think those are credible results. Looking at the lack of activities, economic activities in the country in 2024. Even now, like someone said, we are only producing power, 5 hours of power to our people out of a cycle of 24 hours.
That's a point also, yes.
So the 6% for me becomes an artificial number. Then I ask, behind the motive, what could be driving? Why would you tell a lie about economic statistics that are supposed to be credible? They're supposed to be sacrosanct, sacred. We are not supposed to tamper with facts like economic statistics.
Or maybe they, but in terms of mining, how do they also experience load shedding in mining?
Even in mining, I know callers are waiting, but let me just answer you quickly because you are throwing these questions to me. Mopani, the opportunities are far bigger than the story you are being told. Mopani had an investment of $4.5 billion the last 5 years. Mopani should be in production now. We shortchanged the process and gave it a non-miner, an unknown entity. Imagine if we had given it to the listed companies that had bet. Mopani would be in production and probably would be rushing to 200,000, 300,000 metric tons. Currently, there's nothing happening at Mopani. The so-called investment happening in First Quantum in Solwezi. Number one, there's no immediate money that has come from FQM. FQM is troubled. If you have seen what has happened in cobalt mine, their mine in Panama. And two, they are relying on the payments, VAT, historical tax refunds from ZRA as investment into the new nickel mine. For me, there is no new money that has come to First Quantum. Whatever the politicians are saying, the evidence is very, very thin. Kalengwa mine in Kasempa, very good. It's good that that they've resolved the legal crisis that has plagued that mine, but they haven't started any production to effect. KCM, you know what Vedanta has done. As soon as they were given the papers, they rushed here. They are in New York. They're trying to do a public listing to get $1.5 billion from here. Again, which in my view is literally a fraudulent process. So even the so-called mining, even the so-called mining for me, there are too many holes. Okay. Thank you, my brother. Mwilanji Pusha. Hello, good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening. This is Concerned Citizen. How are you, Ambassador?
Concerned Citizen, don't ask me because I'll take over the show. So you just make your contributions.
Oh, that's wonderful. No, we like the fact that you take over a show, and even this brief insights that you've given us are the reasons why we are always constantly glued to the Verified program, because we have verified analysis, impactful analysis.
Yeah.
Just to add on to what you were saying, I remember in my history lessons when I was young, and I'm a lover of history, and one of the things, there was a time when Stalin was being confronted by Western journalists with regard to what was happening with the gulags and the state of the Soviet economy at the time. And there was an insistence by the Western media at the time to paint a certain narrative about what was happening.
Concerned Citizen, there is a, Ash, I don't know how you have put your phone, maybe put it away, maybe from your caller or something. There's a Ash noise, yeah. Yeah, make your contributions.
Am I clear now?
Yes, you are. Okay.
All right. I was saying, as a student of history, I remember a certain history lesson that we had about the Russian leader at the time, the Soviet leader, Joseph Stalin. And at the time, he was being pressured by Western media and the Western publics who wanted to paint a very negative picture of his rule. Not that he was a nice guy, but they wanted to obviously overemphasize the so-called ills that they had. So they were pointing out at what was happening at the gulags. They were talking about regression in the Soviet economy. And I remember he answered them and he said there are three types of lies. There are lies, damned lies, and statistics. And I think in this instance, we are being given the lie of statistics. I think speaking about it from a micro level, as somebody who lives in a middle income area, when I see the shops that have been closed, when I see young men who are potentially barbers but have had to close their businesses because they don't have the opportunity to run their business because there's load shedding, that statistic cannot tell me that the economy is moving forward. When I see young ladies who are ambitious and wanted to start hair salons and are unable to run their businesses and run their hair salons and are looking for alternative means of income, and when I say alternative means of income, it's not very favorable when I'm talking that way. It tells me that we are being fed the lie of statistics. Let's be perfectly honest with ourselves. An economy that only has 3, 4, 5 hours a day of electricity and functioning power cannot achieve 6% of growth. An economy that has erratic and monthly monitored fuel prices cannot register 6% of growth. An economy that has such drastic fluctuations in currency, one day it's 30 kwacha per dollar, next day it's 23 kwacha. Imagine just the exchange rate, the rate losses. Imagine a young lady who has a business of selling second-hand computers. She buys them in Dubai. She buys a whole container of second-hand computers at 30 kwacha per computer. And she has a margin. She gets here, by the time that container gets to Zambia, the dollar has appreciated, the kwacha has appreciated so much. But meanwhile, her stock, the consumer here can only buy it at 3,500 kwacha per laptop. How does she recover that gap? How does she recover that income gap that's there? Yeah. So to me, this is a lie of statistics. And just to talk about the previous caller, who correctly was indicating that there is a tendency of having a lack of patriotism sometimes when people talk negatively about our nation, when they say the wrong things. Ambassador, one of the things that made me make a firm decision that I was never going to support the Hichilema regime was the very, very dedicated negative international press campaign that preceded the elections of 2001, where you would see front cover pages about how the previous regime was mismanaging the economy on The Economist. You have a cover of The Economist, the International Economist, on one day this. 3 months later, the South African version of The Economist is like this. You have a very dedicated negative campaign that was encouraging disinvestment and support of the Zambian economy. Now, to me, Mr. Ambassador, I know you have further ambitions. If I ever hear you, regardless of how the economy is and how my beautiful nation is doing, but if I ever hear you stand on a podium and say, this is not the right time to invest in Zambia, you will never have my vote. Our president, on the day he was the president-elect, and he had a 2-hour press conference, said he had dissuaded his partners in Europe and other regions not to invest in Zambia because he felt there was chaos in this economy. There is never chaos in our country. There's always opportunity. And if you're a politician and believe in this country, that must never, ever come out of your mouth to say you can't invest in Zambia. That's a lack of patriotism, and that's a lack of a love for Zambia. So I agree with that caller, but I also remind that caller that the person who said these things and used an international media infrastructure to negate and paint a negative picture on our country. The prime person was the president himself. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, concerned citizens. On this program, I love it that we have such insightful contribution from an array of our people. Thank you for the knowledge and thank you for your contribution. Caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Yes, sir. Jimizo, please make your contribution, Jimizo.
Yes. Okay. For me, I don't really support the way like the police officers have been arresting citizens.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I remember when the government came into place, most of you politicians were complaining to say the manner in which they were.
Is the line cut, Mr.? He has muted himself. He's showing that he has muted himself, I think accidentally. I hope that he can call back so that we hear his contribution. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be closing in the next 15 minutes. So if you have any contribution, make it now. The line is open. We're discussing the update regarding the late president, and we had a wonderful caller in a senior citizen, Mama Reverend Edith Mutale, Ambassador Reverend Edith Mutale. She provided counsel to this country. The issues around Wimi and how he's been treated is also a matter of serious concern. And then we have lies, damn lies, and the worst lies are statistics. Never bring statistics to a matter of ridicule. Statistics must be credible, otherwise they become worse than damn lies. Is this a situation in Zambia where we've seen a flurry of all of a sudden adjusted and revised statistics that are showing glowing? I know there's a very thin line in telling a good story about our country and in telling the truth about our country. And which weighs more? Should statistics be propaganda? No way. Statistics should never be propaganda. So make your contribution on those three topics. Okay, let's see if we can listen to this. I'll play it later. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Good evening, sir.
Call me Mr. Mungwi.
Mr. Mungwi, how are you, sir? Make your contributions.
Thank you. Alabatira uishiwe fiachita. Alafano kushininkisha. Shifina chita. Kulina bambi. Avengesa nsange pon Africa. You know, it's unfortunate that if the death of President Edgar Lungu was a straightforward death, why would Zambia be in this dilemma? And I'm calling you from England.
Okay.
My presumption would have been that if I had a way, speak to the family and they engage proper investigators, especially from here in England, to examine the body. Okay? And they would come up with something. What has been happening is pointing to something very, very, very sinister. There is a game that people think they are smart, that they have played. And to suggest that even if the president said, no, I'm not going to be part, he would say that to fool the family. Once the body arrives in Zambia, you actually ask it maybe some people in inverted commas, like the army, to take over, take charge. Okay? So the best advice I can give is let the body of President Edgar be buried in South Africa for now. You know, this thing has never happened anywhere. And I don't know why. For a reason, a lot of Zambians can't think straight. It's a good, yeah. So sad.
Mwalanda, thank you very much.
Sad.
Thank you, and thank you for your insights. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
We are watching from afar. And you start wondering, is this our country? Called Zambia.
Yeah.
Please, if there's any chance of allowing special people to look at the body of the former President Lungu, something would definitely come up.
Okay. Thank you very much. Yes, our caller from the United Kingdom is talking of probably coroner investigation or a proper post-mortem. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Hello. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, Mr. Mwamba.
We are well, sir. Tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Yes, this is Don Oscar. I'm calling from Italy.
Padre, our Catholic priest from Italy. Make your contribution, sir.
Thank you very much. Two things. One regarding the situation of the body of Dr. ECL in South Africa. I thank God I had an opportunity to go and say thank you and bless and try to bless the body of ECL that day, which shocked the world, that somebody blocked the body from coming to Zambia. It shocked us because we were there in the morning at 8:30. A group of us were 4 clergy, and we were prepared to go and bless the body at that private airport in the morning. We were all astonished, even the security, the South African security. We were in the same VIP lounge. We were blessed to be in the same VIP lounge with the South African military and friends. And so they were surprised. We were surprised. Everyone was so shocked. We were shocked what was happening. And there was some secrecy, of course. But at the end, by 12 o'clock, we understood that, the body was not going to be transported to Zambia. Terrible situation, was terrible. That was not the only one, but again, the terrible thing was to stop the burying of ECL a day before. That was terrible. I know my brother Kangwa is the secretary to the cabinet. is a Catholic. I felt pity for him. And Patrick Chagwa distributes the Holy Communion in the Catholic Church. To be put in that situation, I felt pity for our brother. And we prayed for the family, for Madam Lungu. We encouraged them, we encouraged the sister to Lungu, and then Honorable Tisira Lungu. We prayed for them. And I think what has happened there, it is just correct and just for the family to bury, that is my opinion, to bury the body in South Africa, because when you are not welcome, when he was not recognized by President Hakainde Hichilema, he has never recognized him as a president. And even last time when he mentioned, he said, the president that you elected, and so he still does not recognize him that he has been his president. So why bringing the body to a person who does not recognize you, who has never recognized you as a president? And then the last one was about the economy. Honorable Mwamba and the Zambian people are listening to this platform. I'm just going to share with you my experience when I was in Kitwe at Nkanamo. People were in the Copper Belt, you know where there is that. Nkanamo is just adjacent to Hotel Edinburgh, the Hotel Edinburgh. That Nkanamo is a new structure. Last year when I was in Zambia, the shops were working, everything was working. This year when I went back to Nkanamo, Zambian people are in the Copper Belt, you can testify this. I went into the mall and I found Bamwamba. Only 4 shops were working.
Oh my.
People have closed. Yes. Also, there's some sort of a supermarket there. And there was some barber shops, one barber shop. There's a supermarket. There was a bar, which is owned, I think, by the Zambian Greek. There was a bar, just entrance, you enter on the right. And there's a shop selling some computers and some mobile phones. So, Nkanamo shops are closed since last year. Now, you are asking the Zambian people 6% growth. How can it be 6% growth when people have closed shops? Statistically, mathematics here, which is not an opinion, does not give us a positive answer. So I hope the government can we are now in a campaign mode. Next year is voting. Actually, by the end of this year, already campaign is beginning. Everyone knows that the ruling government will start bringing some figures in their favor here and there. It's a normal thing, but don't say that this is a reality. It's a campaign mode. Yes, we understand, we listen to this information, but it's not the reality. Why do I say it's not the reality? It's because of the example that I've just given you. Go at Nkanamo, the UPND who are listening here, go at Nkanamo, see for yourselves what is happening. Without electricity, people can't do business. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you very much. That was Father Donesco from Italy, Father Oscar Mwansa Pombo. Is a very strong voice in our country in public affairs, a Catholic priest based in Italy. And thank you for that view. I'll play, there's an audio that has been sent to me. I don't know if the owner wanted me to identify, but I'll play it. But let me just take some last calls, because I can see there are a lot of calls that we keep on missing. Yeah. Please call before we close in the next 3-4 minutes. Please call so that we hear from you and your contribution during this period. Hello, good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening, Ambassador.
Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
I'll remain anonymous.
Anonymous, make your contributions.
but I'm calling from Lusaka, Zambia. Mr. Mamba, the only problem that we have is these people are not honest. We are not going to be dealing with people who are not honest in everything that they do. When we talk of economic growth is not done on paper. When you say the economy is growing, it trickles down to the citizen, the people who feel it to say the economy is improving or the economy is doing fine, looking at how things are going on the ground. But if these people are going to be playing with figures just to say we are growing at this percent and that, it is not helping. Challenge that we have with these people, we have people who are not honest in everything that they are doing. Look at even the issue of the funeral. They took this matter to the court, but today they are saying they want to negotiate with the family. It was just a matter of twisting. They are trying to force that family to come to the negotiating table. It's the same as they are trying to blackmail that family. Because they knew to say, once we take this matter to court, the court charges are very, very expensive in South Africa, where this family will be forced to come to the negotiating table. Then today you are saying, no, we want to throw that case from the courts so that we talk to the family. Are you being honest? The only problem, we are dealing with leaders who are not responsible, who are not honest, who are very manipulative, and leaders who cannot listen to the people. I think as a country, we need to make sure that these people, by next year, they are not in government. Because when you talk of the mines, what is that you are benefiting from the mines? You're not benefiting anything. There are tax holidays there. So if you say, no, we are benefiting from the mines, how? It's not possible. You're not benefiting anything from the mine. When you go into agriculture, yes, we can say we had the bumper harvest, but even that bumper harvest for last season, it has not yet come to come and cushion the food shortages and the poverty levels. So what we can ask from these people, just ask for being honest to the Zambian people. They need to tell the Zambian people the truth. You cannot run an economy where there is no power. The fuel price is expensive. You cannot say fuel is cheap at 28 kwacha. When you found it at 17, then 28, which is better, 17 or 28? So they should not stop. They should stop lying to the Zambian people. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your contributions. Yeah, there are more calls. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening, Mamwamba.
Good evening.
I'm calling from Chilabombe, Mamwamba.
Thank you very much, Chilabombe. Make your contributions.
And yes, thank you very much. Mamwamba, I know we are talking about the statistics. The statistics, I'll take it to Kuliba Shimaini. Okay? Kuliba Shimaini, you find that in the Shimaini, Nalibomba sana pamugodi. Eno pamugodi, Tuale Shibati, Ikopa to Fumia, to the Donsa. Mole Monevendeme Mwamba. Tuale Monama statistics, Kukati, Ikopa Quena to the Donsa. Nga waingira pa mine, shift posale pika kopa, Wamona. Nomba ino shita, Yobale Tueva. Nangu Kabuswe, Aleva Tabumba Maini. Yes, Kuti Aishiba, Ito Tuale Fumia Kopa. Ino shita nomba tukusa. Fija Pishosho. Ngapati mumfa pakati pali abaliva kwa tovaliva. Those are the things from a dump site. Pamukodi fya shalile ever tukusa. How can they say producing ku KCM? Twise kumo pani. We are kumo pani. Kumo pani tikaona production ya chine. Kai kuna no best wali bomba twana tukuishiva. Not whatever nensu. What are they doing? Nothing. Na mwema na meaning. Aya tu mines yo wale yumfila pati yo twesta bruture dosa. Na makatapirelo ya leisa. Mwasa mwana ya matolo. Kwale but every day mule mwana kupeleka fuma. Nomba ino shitawe kuwaya fe. We need the proper abantu abobufina buchila. Wale bapobufi come to Chilabombe. People are looking miserable. Lelo mailo elo barita katapila ba kabuswe. Kai bari mu campaign mode. Tuwe tiyo tule twano batama kukawama. Wale bepa wale abantu abashinda ulwa zombie. Not if ino style pita. Already, I'm talking now. Shimaini kuta station produce
the whole Kamenza, Takuli Amenshi, for the last 6 months. Takuli Amenshi, Alefakutap. Takuli Amenshi, Eroshmain Ale Nunkanalamba. So if you want to land, if you want some figures, the cooked figures, Songa to Alanda at you to a beta. So that is what I'm saying. I am a statistics papela, that's why Yeshiva. Especially the two mines. If I look at Mopani, if I look at the KCM, Tapadi Filetika. Nashwenda Chagwa, I have to pele. I can't want to move for a packet dot. Vale Pela Casing yesterday, Vale Pela the other day. But it was supposed to be paid the other time. So if you want to say we are bitter. We are waiting for 2026. Well, and Vale Monaquati, I want to also we are happy. We are not happy because I thought to let in and cyber Valoya Vestatua Quata, Valia. So hence Tulelolela. There's nothing we are waiting for. If we are Shimain, if we so as a result, please to Papa Mamba, continue speaking for us. No komuli. Okay, second next year, April to Papa Mamba. To learn Faisha. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. A miner from Chirila Wombwe. Now let me play that audio.
Comes out and says he thinks the World Bank, IMF are credible. That in itself scares me. We should not really put these institutions as without influence. I remember in the PF era, we had so many of these rating agencies that came up and rated us terribly. Even when you thought people were still, enjoying some level of development around the country, they still judged us based on just what were borrowed monies and how they saw their perspectives. To me, I started calling it out at that time. I said these rating agencies are influenced by certain bodies. So, as a nation, we should always be careful with these institutions. We cannot just say just because IMF said, World Bank said, let's be diligent, Zambia. They do not sometimes want to also be backroad. And when I say backroad, is that they have come in, put in their program, and would like that we stick to it. So why not talk that program up by, smoothening some of the statistics, making them look like we're on a rosy path. 23 hours of load shedding a day, or 20 hours, whatever it is too much. Mining alone cannot just give us a huge GDP growth. Any economy growing has to grow on many factors. I need not even be admiring figures being posted about the numbers sunk into investments in the mining sector. Some of those investments were done actually during the PF era. So let's be cautious. Zambians, please, let's read these things with a little bit of salt.
Thank you. That was advice. Is just because he's saying, someone said the IMF and World Bank statistics are credible and should not be questioned. Well, they've been at the center of the various crises that Africa has had, and is advising that we take them with a pinch of salt. So that was the matter. I think, thank you for your contributions. And thank you to the mother, she calls herself Mother to Wimi, who gave us some insights into his last day in Harare when he was abducted on 1st June and taken over to Zambia. We've identified the so-called fiance who was at the center of this, who lured Wimi, and there was an issue of a passport that was obtained for Wimi, and rings, and Wimi believed that he was collecting these things. And we've shown you the picture of the passport and the young lady. I had the privilege of speaking to the young lady. She swears that she met Wimi on social media. They've never met in person. An engagement was done at Urban Hotel in Kasama, and in Salamweko Batwele. We've identified the parties, Bashibukombe, who were a part of that. We've identified the actual young lady and the person who represented Wimi. Then the so-called ring and passport were taken to Wimi, where he was last seen and abducted. We will pursue that matter. The information is that Wimi arrived in Zambia on 1st June, and due to torture and extensive beatings, he died in police custody on 9th June 2025. The police that day issued a statement distancing themselves from an operation that was done by officers from service headquarters who had abducted it. This actually was an issue in Zimbabwe because no process was followed from Zimbabwe. You're supposed to work with the authorities in Zimbabwe, but it appears Wimi was abducted from Harare under those strange conditions. This matter should not die. If Wimi is alive, he was last admitted at Lilai Police. Whatever condition is in, produce him. That is our appeal to the Inspector General of Police, Grafo Msamba. Nangu mwalimu kontola molu, mwalimu chena, is lying unconscious. Produce him to the nation. If he has died, produce his body to his relatives so they can put him to rest. This matter cannot go away. We can't treat human beings like dogs. Thank you to the very senior people that called today in today's program, including Mama Edith, Reverend Edith Mtale Ambassador, for that call, and our brother Father Donesco, Father Oscar Mwansa Pombo, and the lady, mother to Wimi, who called and who rely upon you. We might call you tomorrow to give us some insight into this case of Wimi. And then we have a lot of calls on the statistics, insightful debate on the statistics. So God bless you. God bless our country. Until we see you tomorrow, shalom, shalom, and we'll see you.